welcome! Pag-usapan natin kung paano tayo maghanap ng limit using graphical and numerical approaches. Pag-usapan muna natin kung ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng limit. So what is a limit? So our term here is approaching. Ibig sabihin, papalapit ng papalapit. Sometimes, we can work something out directly, but we can see what it should be as we get closer and closer. So that is limit. So dito, titingnan natin kung ano yung nagaganap habang papalapit tayo sa function natin. Okay? That is limit. For example, we have your expression x squared minus 1 all over x minus 1. Let's work it out for x is equal to 1. Ipapalagay natin na yung x natin is equivalent to 1. By direct substitution, papalitan natin yung x with 1. And thus, our expression becomes 1 squared minus 1 all over 1 minus 1, which is also equivalent to, evaluate lang, 1 squared is 1 minus 1 over 1 minus 1, and we get 0 divided by 0. And we all know that 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate. So, meron tayong value dito, but we don't know the exact value here. Now, 0 over 0 is a difficulty, right? So, we need another way para sagutan yung expression na to. So, instead of trying to work it out for x is equal 1, try natin gamitin yung table of values as we are approaching closer to the value of 1. Okay, to the value of x, which is equivalent to 1. So let's assume that the value of our x are as follow: 0.5, 0.9, 0.99, 0.99 until makakarating tayo or palapit tayo sa ating 1, which is the value of your x. Kasi sabi kanina, kung yung value ng x is equivalent to 1, we get an indeterminate. Merong value, but we don't know what the exact value is. Okay? So by substitution, lahat ng x magiging 0.5 in the case of this. So we get 1.5. If x is equal to 0.9, we get 1.9. We have here, so on, and so forth. So kung mapapansin natin, as x gets close to 1, okay, if we are approaching to 1 with the value of your x, yung expression natin is also approaching to what? To 2. Okay? Now, in our expression, when x is equal to 1, it is indeterminate. But we can see that it is going to be 2. And that is the limit of the expression. So the limit of x squared minus 1 over x minus 1 as x approaches 1 is 2. And it is written in symbol, limit of x squared minus 1 over x minus 1 as x approaches 1 is equal to 2. Example. Find the limit of the following functions. Number 1, we have f of x is equal to 4, which given such condition, c is equivalent to -1. So to answer the following limits na meron tayo, kailangan natin sundin yung mga steps na to. Paano nga ba tayo magsosolve ng limits? The first thing you need to do is to write the general form of the limits. That is, the limit of f of x as x approaches to c is equivalent to L. F of x here is our function, c is our given condition, and L is the limit of the function as x approaches to c. The second thing to do is to replace f of x again with your given and also your c. Third step, para mahanap namin yung L, we need to substitute the value of x with the c value and we need to evaluate. Let's begin with number 1. So to find the limit of f of x is equivalent to 4, where c is equal to -1, okay? Tingnan muna natin kung ano yung function na given. So this is what function is this? This is your constant function. So to solve for the limit, again, copy the general form. This is the general form. Then substitute, palit na lang po yung f of x, magiging 4. Yung c naman natin, magiging negative 1, which is equivalent to L. Para mahanap yung L, lahat ng x na nasa function becomes negative 1. Since wala tayong variable dito in our constant function, thus the limit is also the constant. Therefore, limits of 4 as x approaches to negative 1 is equal to 4. And the graph looks like this. Okay, so we have the graph of f of x is equal to 4. Since pinag-uusapan natin yung limit ng function, okay, habang papalapit daw yung x natin to the value of negative 1 is nandito siya. So we will create broken line here. Okay, so this is our c is equivalent to negative 1. The limit of the function is equivalent to 4. So the intersection of the broken line and the graph of your function is the limit of your function. Therefore, this is the limit of f of x is equal to 4, where c is equivalent to negative 1. Number 2 example. So what kind of function is this? This is your linear function. Kasi nga meron tayong variable, okay, with one exponent. So to solve for the limit, again, same process. Copy muna yung general form. Substitute lang yung f of x magiging x minus 3, and yung c naman natin magiging 2. To find the value of L, substitute lang lahat ng x na nasa function magiging 2. So we have x, okay, yung x na to magiging 2, then minus 3, which is equivalent to negative 1. Hence, the limit of the function as x approaches to 2 is equivalent to negative 1. And the graph of the function looks like this. Since linear function natin, yung graph type is a straight line. Okay? So, yung x natin is approaching to 2. So, where is 2? Okay, so this is your x is equivalent to 2. So, we will create broken line here. Again, the intersection of your broken line in the graph tells us the limit of your function. And this is the limit of your function, which is at negative 1. Number 3, what function is this? So the highest exponent is 2, thus the function is quadratic function. So to solve for the limit, same rules. Copy muna yung general function, then substitute lang yung f of x magiging function natin. So magiging x squared minus 4x plus 4. Yung c naman magiging 0. So to find the value of your L, lahat ng x na nasa functions natin magiging 0. By substitution, we get 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 4, then evaluate, we get 4. Hence, the limit of the function x squared minus 4x plus 4 as x approaches 0 is 4. And the graph of the function looks like this. Since quadratic siya, the graph type of the function is parabola. Okay? So, na kung saan yung vertex is at, okay, is at x is equal to 2. Okay? So, yung x natin is approaching to 0. So, this is your 0. So, we'll create your line. This is your x approaches 0. Okay, so again, the intersection of your broken line and your parabola tells us the limit of the function. And this is the limit of your function, which is 4. Example number 4. What type of function is number 4? The highest exponent here is 3. Then, anong tawag sa function ito? This is your cubic function. So, para malaman or para masolve po yung limits ng cubic functions, same rules apply. We have, copy lang yung general form of limit. Then, lahat ng f of x magiging x cubed minus 9x minus 5. At lahat ng c natin magiging 3. Para naman mahanap yung L, we need to substitute the value of your x to 3. So lahat ng x na nasa function natin magiging 3. So we have 3 cubed minus 9 times 3 minus 5, and the answer is negative 5. Hence, the limit of your function as x approaches 3 is equivalent to negative 5. And the graph of our cubic function looks like this. So yung x natin is approaching to 3, we'll create broken line at x is equal to 3. This is your x approaches 3. And the intersection of your broken line and the graph of your cubic function is the limit of the function. And this is the limit of the function, which is negative 5. Another example, find the limit of the following piecewise function naman. Okay? So kanina pinag-usapan natin yung limit ng bawat functions which are under polynomials. Okay? Those are your constant function, linear function, quadratic function, and cubic function. Now, we will proceed to another types of your polynomial functions which are your piecewise function. So again, pag sinabi natin piecewise, ito ay binubuo ng multiple functions. So to solve for the limits of these piecewise functions, write the general form. Then we need to find the right hand and left hand limit of the function using the following equation. For the right hand, we have x approaches to c positive, and for the left hand, we have x minus c negative. Usually, para malaman yung function ng nasa right hand, we will use the condition kung saan yung symbol na ginagamit is greater than. Okay? Para naman sa left hand, yung function na gagamitin here is yung condition na gumagamit ng less than symbol. The third, we need to compare the right hand and left hand. Kung magkakapareho yung value ng right hand and left hand, then we can say that limit is defined. But in any cases na hindi magkatugma yung value ng right hand and also the left hand, then limit does not exist. If limit is defined, then limit of f of x as x approaches c is equal to L. Let's begin with number 1. We have here given piecewise f of x is equal to x squared minus 9 if x is less than 0. We have also f of x is equal to x plus 3 if x is greater than or equal to 0. So paano nga ba to isi-solve? So again, this is an example of your piecewise function. So to solve for the limit of this piecewise function, copy the general form. Okay? So right hand and left hand limit tayo. So let's look for the right hand limit muna ng ating function. So we have here the value of your c, which is x equals 0. Thus, your c here is equivalent to 0. So palitan na natin yung function natin and also the value of your c, which is 0. So again, pag right hand, titingnan po natin yung condition na gumagamit po ng greater than symbol. In this case, we have your x plus 3. So ito yung gagamitin nating function para ma-solve yung limit ng nasa right hand. So we get the limit of x plus 3 as x approaches to 0 positive, which is equivalent to 3. Substitute lang po lahat ng x na nasa function magiging 0. And 0 plus 3 is equivalent to 3. So ito na yung sagot natin sa limit ng nasa right hand ng function. Dako naman tayo sa left hand. Para naman sa left hand, we have your c negative. Again, magbe-base po tayo sa condition. Negative, we will use the less than symbol. Okay? So if x is less than 0, so yung function na gagamitin natin is x squared minus 9. Papalitan lang din natin. Yung f of x magiging x squared minus 9. Yung c natin magiging 0. And then sa substitute na natin lahat ng x magiging 0. So we get 0 squared and minus 9. Then evaluate, the answer is negative 9. Pagkatapos hanapin yung right hand and also your left hand of the limit, Okay? Ika-compare natin yung dalawang limits ng ating function. So, for the limit of the right-hand function, we get 3. And for the limit of the left-hand function, we get negative 9. Pareho ba yung 3 at saka ng negative 9? No, they are not equal. Then limit does not exist. And we can conclude that limit of f of x as x approaches 0 does not exist. Number 2, we have f of x is equal to x plus 1 na kung saan yung x po natin is less than 1. Another function, f of x is equal to x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3 na kung saan yung x po natin is greater than or equal to 1. Now, we conclude that our c here is equal to 1. So, to solve for the limit, kunin natin yung right hand and also the left hand limit of this function. Okay? So, for the right hand, we have the c plus. Again, gagamit tayo ng greater than symbol na nasa condition, okay? Kung kukunin natin yung limit ng nasa right hand. So the function that is required na gagamitin for the right hand is x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3. Substitute natin, lahat ng x magiging 1. We get 1 cubed minus 2 times 1 squared plus 3. Then evaluate, we get 2. Thus, right hand function has a limit of 2. Dako naman tayo sa left hand. For the left hand, we have c negative. Gagamit tayo ng less than na symbol based on your conditions. So in this case, we get f of x is equal to x plus 1. Okay? So ito naman yung gagamitin natin, f of x is equal to x plus 1. By substitution, so yung f of x again, magiging x plus 1. And the value of your c is 1. So lahat ng x again, magiging 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Then i-compare natin yung right hand and also your left hand. So we get 2 as our limit in right hand. Nakuha din natin yung limit na 2 in our left hand. So pareho lang din yung limit nila. And then we can say that limit is defined. Okay? Then we can conclude that limit of f of x as x approaches 1 is equal to 2. That is the limit of the function. Last example, f of x is equal to 1 over x squared plus 10x plus 10 na kung saan yung x po natin is less than negative 2. Okay? Wherein another function f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 1 na kung saan yung x po natin is greater than or equal to negative 2. We conclude that the value of our c here is negative 2. Let's solve for the right hand function. So the limit of the right hand, okay, so yung function na gagamitin natin dito is that 2x squared minus 1. Kasi yung condition niya, gumamit ng greater than symbol. Okay? So yung c natin again is negative 2. Then by substitution, lahat ng x magiging negative 2. So 2 times negative 2 squared minus 1, evaluate, the answer is 7. And this is the limit for the right hand function. How about for the left hand? Okay? So we will use c negative. Okay? Since negative yung c natin, we will use less than a symbol. Okay? Magbabase po tayo dito sa ating condition. In this case, yung function natin magiging 1 over x squared plus 10x plus 10. Wherein c is equivalent to negative 2. Next step, papalitan na natin yung x, magiging negative 2. We get negative 1 over 6. And this is the limit of your left-hand function. Then we will compare your right hand and left hand. Pareho nga ba yung limit ng right hand and left hand? No, they are not equal since the limit of the right hand is 7 while the limit of your left hand is negative 1/6. Hindi po sila pareho. Then limit does not exist. We conclude that the limit of f of x as x approaches to negative 2 does not exist. Okay, so for the final words, the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. See you.